office. Now, again, I think it's important. I think, again, here I am. I'm going to be bipartisan again because I'll say one good thing that Kamala Harris does, my friends. I think every time that she does an interview, she gains us about 50,000 or 100,000 votes. So I will say that for Kamala Harris. Now, you will never hear me. You will never hear me complain about this job. It is other than being married to that beautiful lady who walked me on the stage, Usha. I love you, honey. It's so good to have you. Other than being her husband, the honor of my life is to get to stand up here and ask all of you to make me the next Vice President of the United States. What an incredible testament it is to this country that I get to do this. So you will never hear me complain about this job, save this one time, because here's the sacrifice that I make for all of you. I watch Kamala Harris do interviews on The View so that you don't have to. That is, look, it's a life of public service, my friends. I asked for it. But here's what she said on The View just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, she's trying to run as far away from Joe Biden's record as possible. She's trying to pretend that she has no responsibility for the last 4 years, even though she's the sitting vice president. But when she doesn't have a teleprompter in front of her and she gets a softball question, what would you have done differently over the last 4 years? Kamala Harris says, nothing comes to mind. An important moment of honesty. Nothing comes to mind. Now, I will say, I think that could be the slogan of the Harris-Walz campaign. Nothing comes to mind. Think about it. It'd be a hell of a lot more honest. What would you have done differently over the last 4 years? Nothing comes to mind. What would you do to fix the border, Kamala Harris? Well, nothing comes to mind. What ideas do you have for lowering the cost of groceries and housing for American citizens? Nothing comes to mind. It actually is the one moment of honesty you've seen from Kamala Harris in this entire campaign, and it revealed that Kamala Harris is the candidate of more of the same. More broken dreams, more open borders, more Americans who can't afford the cost of groceries. And I happen to think, my friends, that we are ready to deliver change to the American people. Common sense economic policies, prosperity for our citizens. We're ready to make Donald J. Trump the President of the United States, and we're going to do it together. I see a few very beautiful kids in the audience, and I'm thrilled you guys brought them. But, you know, if I was the Democrats, I'd ask you guys to go register them to vote. But I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Only legal votes here in the state of Nevada. That's what we want. But I want to bring up a friend of mine, and then I'll say a few more words after he comes off the stage. But, you know, one of my dear friends in American politics, and one of the people who knows as much about the sacrifice of Donald J. Trump as anybody is, of course, his family, right? Because it's not just President Trump that sacrificed, it's also the family. And of course, I've become dear friends with the president, and I'll tell you a little story. When he was, well, it's ridiculous to say, the second assassination attempt, not the first, and it's a shame, of course, that we've had any, but we've had two since the start of this campaign. I was sitting at home with my son in Cincinnati, and I get a call from the president. It's, of course, before the news becomes public, and he says, JD, they tried to do it again. I said, they tried to do what? He said, they tried to shoot me again. And he told me what had happened. I'm like, oh, my God, sir, are you okay? You know, of course, physically you're okay, or you wouldn't be calling me, but that's a pretty traumatic thing. And he says, yeah, I'm fine. I'm kind of pissed off, though, because I was about to make a birdie on the sixth hole, and they wouldn't let me finish. And I had sort of a realization in that moment that, you know, look, you don't have to agree with everything that I say. You don't have to agree with everything that Donald Trump says. But really the option here is between a president who has shown courage under fire. Like, what you want in the Oval Office is a guy who can take a traumatic moment like an assassination attempt with defiance and good humor, and that's what we have in Donald J. Trump. You don't want somebody who's running away from the American media. You want somebody who has courage under fire, and that's our guy.